So I had this cordless grinder, Campbell Hausfeld. It's about 13 years old. And this was the battery that came with it. Still works, but it's short-lived. And it really always was short-lived. It's not a very big battery. You can see it fits in my hand. Pretty much as wide as my hand. I can cut about 6 inches of tin with it. Say a 16th of a gauge. 1/8 inch gauge, maybe 4-inch cut. And that's about it. And it needs a recharge. What ends up happening is the grinder RPMs just go so low that it just don't cut anymore. So I wanted to make a little bigger of an amp hour battery. So I had a couple of these Dewalt 18 volt batteries. This one here is 18 volt. And this Dewalt one here is an 18 volt. And I have a charger. Dewalt, charger for the battery. Now, you can see the contact point where it goes in, and this contact point here is different, and this is the original battery is different. So I had to change this contact point, this knob here, on the Dewalt battery to make it adaptable to plug into the drill. Now, of course, it didn't line up with the cogs here, little clips to clip in, and it don't sit perfect at the base here, but that's okay. I use some Velcro. So I Velcro it in when I push the battery in. So I wanted to explain to you what I did. As you can see here, I melted it back into this base plate here. And the other part, here was the original charger for this type battery. Right, it goes in like this. Well, it no longer worked. So I basically gutted it. Took all the insides out of it. And this here was the old Dewalt charging portion that would stick into the Dewalt charger. So that's what I do now to charge up the other battery. Let me see if I can separate these here. There we go. So you can see this piece here will go into like that. Everything's getting ahead of me here. So that piece will be there. And what I did is I wired it directly into the contact points for charging it. Negative and positive, of course. And I color coded the wires here. Black for negative, red for positive. And this is completely hollowed out. There's nothing in there except those wires going to the contact points to charge the battery up. And then the control for charging the battery, well, the Dewalt charger already has all its controls built in it, which that's the original charger. So basically what I did is I had an extra one of these, but it was smaller for a drill. And I cut out that portion, this portion here, into a square. Basically that shape there, you can see it. That's the portion that was cut out of one of these type batteries, but a lot smaller. But this portion here was the same, and that's what I was after. So I had to remove, of course, the original contact points that the Dewalt battery had to it, and then bring in this contact point. And how I did that was just with wire. The positive wire I ran to the positive lead, and then I basically ran a negative lead to the negative on the battery that would go up on this column here, and then the wire would go to the negative terminal. And now it works really good, and the battery's quite large. It's about twice the amp hour rating, I guess. Not exactly sure what amp hour rating it is. It's the bigger batteries DeWalt has. So now I have myself a nice extra battery, and it's actually brand new. This was never even been used, so I have an old drill. Not drill, but grinder. That performs well. And I'll try to do this with one hand here. Get this piece of Velcro out of the way. Bad lighting, of course. My hand's in the way and everything else. There, and it's on, right? So I just take the Velcro and so it can't fall out, because the clips won't line up to actually lock it in place. Well, that's okay. That's fine. So there we have it. You see, it's not a perfect fit, but it's not bad. And it works quite well. It'll be a little bit noisy. So now I can get a much larger cut Not that I actually cut. It's more or less just for tinkering. I ain't going to get an extension cord out or anything like that to play around with something I just need to use for, you know, a couple seconds or a minute or that type of thing. So now it works really, really good. This battery here was really short-lived, and you know, I almost wasn't able to finish that 15-second little project, and I had to charge this back up, and it was kind of a nuisance. So now I am able to go about it this way and have myself a much longer lasting battery. So if any of you have anything similar, and you might want to compare what you have, and you might be able to do something similar. And thank you for watching. Subscribe if you have not, and thank you very much for those that already have.